Hello, and welcome back to Between Two Torches. I'm Elliette Barrows, and today I'm joined by Amanda Miller, a senior here at LaSalle majoring in psychology and minoring in criminal justice. Amanda is a big advocate for raising awareness of sexual violence and has even interned at Reach Beyond Domestic Violence. Welcome, Amanda. So before we get started, I want to say that this interview will discuss the serious topic of sexual harassment, violence, and assault. This may be triggering for some viewers. To begin, I want to ask you a bit about LaSalle. What made you choose LaSalle?
I went to a very busy high school. It was a large population. I think we almost had like 2,000 students, maybe even more. And I loved the idea of a tight-knit community. And I was actually going to major in fashion communication when I came here. I had a friend who attended LaSalle and I kind of just applied. I took a year off and then made the decision to come here.
So you're majoring in psychology. What made you choose that?
So like I mentioned, I came here as a fashion communication major at first. And I always had a passion for mental health and advocacy work, but never really got into it and went back and forth with psychology and fashion communication. And then I just remember feeling this drive to like help the community and make a difference, and that's when I decided to change my major.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So you have taken the domestic violence advocacy and sexual violence advocacy class. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a bit about what those classes are and what you learned?
Definitely. So domestic violence advocacy class is taught by Professor Ray, an incredible professor here at LaSalle, and she really uses the BARCC training model to really educate us on the impact and different forms of abuse in domestic violence. Sexual violence is similar in the sense that it also focuses with BARCC, which is Boston Area Rape Crisis Center, and we're trained in crisis intervention. A lot of us become certified, and the whole theme of both classes is to really just raise awareness, educate the students on prevention work, tie in connected learning, and it's just a really great experience.
Looking more specifically at sexual violence, can you explain what it is and why it's important to talk about?
Definitely. So sexual violence appears in multiple forms. It can be sexual harassment, sexual assault, rape. It can be targeting someone based on their gender or their gender identity. Really, it's an attack on like someone sexually. And 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men on college campuses are affected by sexual or domestic violence. And it's really important to raise awareness of sexual violence because it can impact anyone. It doesn't discriminate. There are so many barriers when it comes to sexual violence that it makes it really hard for folks to come forward, share what's happened to them, and being able to create programs and educational resources that bring awareness to sexual violence really helps bring voice to those who are struggling with it or are survivors.
You have been a big advocate in the past here at LaSalle, and you've even worked on Take Back the Night. Can you talk a bit about what Take Back the Night is, the history behind it, and how it is at LaSalle?
Definitely. So Take Back the Night is a night where the community on college campuses or high schools come together and really honor the voices of survivors of domestic and sexual violence. At LaSalle, like more than like 300 people come, and we fill up DeWitt, and we really just try to honor the voices. It's open mic as well, like towards the end of the event, and other survivors in the audience can come forward, and it's just really, it's a night to hold space and raise awareness, and it's another form of prevention work.
How long have you been helping with Take Back the Night?
So I was actually a speaker my sophomore year, and that's really what started my passion into domestic and sexual violence work specifically. Both are so overlapping. And then I've been working as like a student helping facilitate the event junior year and this year as well.
It was virtual this year, correct?
Yes, yes.
Are there any other events being planned right now that focus around sexual violence?
Yes, there's the White Ribbon campaign that's happening this week. So if you check out LaSalle Stands Up, you'll see a lot of virtual ways to get involved if you're not on campus. We have Denim Day happening very soon, I think throughout the month of April. And both are really great events.
What is the White Ribbon Campaign?
So the White Ribbon Campaign is a campaign that really holds men accountable to stand up against sexual assault. And it's not specifically directed towards women, like men are survivors as well. So it's just a really great way to get men involved in the conversation in standing up against it.
And Denim Day?
Denim Day started when a judge told a survivor of rape that there was no way she could have been raped because her pants were too tight, so she must have helped take them off. So Denim Day stemmed from that, where at LaSalle we have these denim patches that people can write their stories on, and we try to curate it into some type of visual art project.
What do you think is the most important takeaway from these sort of events?
That's a really good question. I think the biggest takeaway from these events is how tangible and easy it can be to do prevention work at such a grassroots level. So I love the word grassroots. It really just emphasizes how it's like starting from the bottom up instead of higher to lower. And it's really the students heavily like engaging in these events, and student run, student based. Professor Ray obviously like takes so much like charge in these projects, but the students are what motivate these events to even happen.
They're for the students.
Right.
Now moving to the sexual harassment survey that was sent around campus recently.
Mm-hmm.
What caused the survey to be sent out? Do you know?
So I remember it starting in 2017. I think it was my freshman year. I remember taking it. But LaSalle and the Title IX office in general really tried to be forward thinking and like what they can do to like implement changes around Title IX and how to support survivors and really be survivor centered and trauma informed. So the Sexual Misconduct Climate Survey goes out every few years. I can't remember specifically if it's 3 or 2. But it's to help students tell LaSalle what could be done better or what they need. Currently, now it is mandated under Massachusetts for all universities to do the Sexual Misconduct Climate Survey. But what's unique about LaSalle is that President Alexander really has the students also focus on it. So a lot of other universities have the administrators create it, but the students in Professor Ray's classes work with the research team and help formulate the questions, the wording. It's a really great thing when you have the students also focused in on it.
So the goal of it is to figure out what's happening with the student body and what they need?
Yeah, definitely. You get also like reporting rates, campus response rates. It's a really good system.
Yeah, sounds like it. Now, sexual harassment and violence is very prevalent in our society, especially college campuses. What can students do to help advocate and teach themselves, educate themselves about sexual violence, domestic violence?
Yeah, I think it's really important for students to attend these events to help educate themselves. Denim Day, like Take Back the Night, hearing stories and holding space is really important, and it opens everyone's eyes. And I think also Title IX and the students in Professor Ray's directed study do some trainings with the athletes specifically, and we're hoping to expand it to other students as well. But these trainings really focus on how students can be either active bystanders, learn more about consent, how to take reports if like their friend is coming to them. So just learning like how to like step in when you see it happening is definitely really important.
So you've mentioned Title IX multiple times. Mm-hmm. Can you just expand about what Title IX is and how it can help students at LaSalle?
Definitely. So Title IX is a federal statute where you are protected in sports, your education, the workforce, based on your sex. So it protects you from being discriminated against. And at LaSalle, it provides resources for survivors either on or off campus. It helps with like any housing adjustments, any classroom adjustments that you might need. And they really play a neutral party like here at LaSalle, which is great.
if a student does need to contact Title IX for any reasons, how does that process work? Can you talk a bit about that?
Definitely. I'm sure it's a lot different now that we're in COVID, so offices are probably closed. But typically, you would be able to reach out to our Title IX coordinator, who is Jennifer O'Keefe. Just make sure you email the right person, because there's two. And you just go from there. She meets with you if you choose to. It's really your choice. So you can like step in and like report something, and you can step out anytime you want to. I don't know if that answered your question.
That does. And what are some resources students at LaSalle have other than Title IX? Because it's not confidential.
Right. So some confidential resources are the health services and the counseling center on campus.
Yes. Are there any off campus that they can go to as well?
Of course. There is Reach Beyond Domestic Violence, which is my internship. We have an online chat program that has been amazing, especially during COVID. There's also a hotline. BARCC, which is Boston Area Rape Crisis Center, is a really great place. SafeLink, which is a mental health hotline that you can call. All great resources.
How can students get more involved in helping?
Yeah, definitely. I think having the conversation is definitely really important, but if you are able to, taking Professor Ray's domestic and sexual violence classes really fuel the work that is done on campus.
And is there anything else that the students should know?
Any student?
Any student, any Instagrams they should follow to help stay up to date?
Definitely. Definitely follow LaSalle Stands Up to keep up to date with any events that are coming up. That's really the only Instagram that focuses on Title IX and sexual and domestic violence. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. Really, this is such an important topic, so we're so happy to have you here today. Sexual violence is a very serious topic, and it's so important to talk about. So really, thank you for helping educate the students at LaSalle, Amanda, and for the hard work that you and everyone you work with does for the students. That is going to be all for this episode of Between Two Torches. I'm Elliette Barrows, and thank you for tuning in. Make sure to follow LCTV on all our social medias, and I'll be back next week for a brand new episode of Between Two Torches.